Today we're going to talk lots of fun stuff.
Wait, don't ruin it.
I'm not going to ruin anything
cool.
for you. I'm just giving you...
Don't ruin it.
I don't even want to build it up. You're right. Okay. I'm not going to say anything.
All right, ready?
Yes.
Okay. Hey guys, welcome to episode 18 of Disney WTF, where we talk about what's the fuss about Disney. If you don't know us by now, we are a Disney couple. She's a Disney fanatic. I'm still trying to figure all this out, but somehow we've made ways to make this relationship work.
So many ways.
Yes.
Every day there's a new way.
How are you doing?
I'm okay. How are you doing?
I'm good. I haven't seen you in a while.
I
just
know.
got back from a trip.
So I just got back from Orlando, actually. It's my future sister-in-law's bridal shower. And the big news is I was in Orlando. I didn't step a foot near Disney property.
It's probably because I wasn't there.
No, I'm pretty
kidding.
sure.
I know it wasn't. I know it wasn't.
Actually, after the bridal shower, my brother asked me, do you want to go to downtown Disney? Also, AKA Disney Springs. And I was like, Psh, yeah, let's go. And he's like,
you guys went?
Well, no. He was like, oh, actually, I was just kidding. It's kind of late. I have to get up at 6 a.m. to go to work.
That jerk.
Yeah, so I was really
Matt, you
disappointed.
jerk.
But, I mean, it's okay. There will be other times, and it'll make the next trip that much sweeter.
Yeah. Headlines.
Okay, so I got some headlines today, like every day. And this first headline is not exactly breaking news for most, probably, but it's going to be big for you.
Okay.
Lockers are self-serve now.
Okay, cool.
So you don't need to go up to a cast member to put down a deposit, give them your credit card, this and that, to get a locker.
It should be by Magic Band.
You know what? It's not by okay,
Oh
we're not
my God,
we're not
Disney,
quite that
come
far.
on. God.
We're not quite that
You
far
gotta
yet.
get there. You gotta get there, Disney. Okay. Or like Apple Pay. Come on.
Well, you can pay now with a credit card at a kiosk and get your locker.
All right.
So
that's a step. It's a step. It's
and
a
I mean,
step
it
forward.
eliminates the deposit step, so you don't have to worry about that charge going on credit card, then having to come back, whatever it may be. So
I'm okay with that.
okay. Well,
I'm
big
okay
news
with that.
for you.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Maybe not for others.
I use lockers often. That's why it's big news for me, if anyone's wondering.
Yeah, Richie, every time we go to a park, he has to put stuff in a locker. He's not like a normal person that just
carry
leaves it in the
stuff.
car.
I want to have stuff with me.
You put it in the trunk.
No. Okay.
All right. So next headline, there are a pair of baby tigers that have been born at Animal Kingdom.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The tiger Sony, or Sony, S-O-H-N-I.
S-O-H-N-I.
I think it's
Damn
Sony.
it. Like, it might be Sony
I think Sony.
or Sony, because it's African, I'm assuming. It could be Sony.
Should we do a quick Google search to
No.
see what? Okay.
No. We'll figure that out later. We'll fly that plane when it lands.
Okay. So 2 baby cubs have been born to Sony.
Cool. Okay.
It's pretty awesome. They're not on the Maharaja Jungle Trek yet, which is where you would be able to find these Sumatran tigers. But in the future, Disney has announced that they will be a part of your trek through the jungle.
Cool. Okay.
So pretty exciting.
Look for cubs. Look for babies.
Who doesn't love babies? Baby animals are the best. They're much better than baby humans.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
So, no, they're not. So, last headline, Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party has begun.
Oh, okay. I thought it was going to be like canceled or something. I got scared. I was like, what's happening?
It's the opposite. It's begun.
Okay. Cool.
So, Ricard, Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party is a special event that you have to buy an extra ticket for at the Magic Kingdom, where they have extra special Halloween things. So they have a Hocus Pocus show, which you love Hocus Pocus.
I do like that movie. It's a good movie.
It's your favorite Halloween movie.
It's definitely my favorite Halloween movie. I have no others. It's my favorite. It's my only.
By default,
Yeah,
it's your
exactly.
favorite. So they have the Hocus Pocus show. They have a special parade where the Headless Horseman from Sleepy Hollow goes prowling down Main Street on his horse, literally
cool.
with no head. He's carrying his head.
I would like to see that.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I haven't been there, but I've seen videos.
Nice. Okay.
And you basically get to dress up and go trick-or-treating around Magic Kingdom. There's a ton of spots where you can get candy, and it's good candy. It's not like, oh, this is the candy that I got from this old lady's house. That's like, it has pennies, lint, and, it's strawberry something.
Is it like Disney-shaped Mickey heads?
No. Oh, so maybe it's not the best candy.
Like Reese's like for Halloween Disney to me would mean Reese's peanut butter cups with Disney, like shaped in Disney head, Mickey's head.
It's not.
They need to figure that out.
Wow, you
I
have
should
so
start
many
a list.
suggestions. Oh my
Is there a
goodness.
suggestion box for Disney?
I bet we could call them right now.
We need to, like, if there's a suggestion box, I got a ton of ideas.
And it all starts with Mickey's face.
It definitely starts there. It starts with, the locker situation.
Mm-hmm.
I got a lot of ideas. It starts with canceling the whole Mickey thing, the Mickey ride in Hollywood Studios.
Yeah.
I'd cancel that. That'd be a suggestion. That'd be number one.
Oh my goodness. You have so many ideas.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure the Mickey ride will not be happening, but I'm sure they'd like to hear it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
But the other ones are okay.
We'll see.
I support those other ones a little bit.
I'm gonna make a club. We're gonna have shirts. It's gonna be like a cool acronym. We're gonna protest. It's gonna be white shirts, black lettering. It's gonna be great.
For someone who really doesn't appreciate Disney as much as I do, you've got a lot of ideas.
I know. It's because I'm a thinker and
an outsider.
I like to organize stuff. So I may organize a protest of that ride. If anyone wants to join me, hit me up.
Okay, well, I'll wait in line.
That's
and
fine. I know, because I'm not gonna write it. So.
I'll see you in the gift shop.
Okay.
Because I'm not gonna be standing there with you, unfortunately. All right, so let's go into today's topic, which is a little bit unusual. I haven't heard a podcast talk about this in the past, and I listen to a lot of Disney podcasts because I'm such a fan. So I was planning our trip to Japan last week, and a lot of times when we go on trips, we go on TripAdvisor to see what kind of cool things there are to do, what sites we shouldn't miss, in whatever city or place we go to. And so what I did was I looked up Magic Kingdom, and I was able to see all these reviews and statistics on Magic Kingdom Park on TripAdvisor. And it's not all glowing, I gotta say.
It's not magical.
It's not all magical.
Okay.
So just a little bit of background about TripAdvisor for anybody who doesn't know. So it's basically a community trip or review database. So you can review practically anything on this, and it's usually scored from 1 to 5. So it goes from terrible to excellent. And Magic Kingdom had a score of 4.5. That was the
Out of 5
overall.
stars?
That was the overall tally. Yes, out of 5 stars.
How many reviews was it?
So, as of recording this episode, it has 54,115 reviews.
Wow, that's a lot of reviews. Is there like a ranking of like the top places reviewed?
I'm so glad you asked.
Okay.
Because I looked that up.
Okay, good.
So there is. So Magic Kingdom ranks 16th in the world for the most reviewed place.
Okay.
And it's 6th in the US for their most reviewed place.
God, what is beating this?
Well, I'm also glad you asked
Okay.
that because I've also compiled that information.
Okay.
Very unscientifically, but I've compiled it. So a lot of the other things that were reviewed are major monuments, like Sagrada Familia in Barcelona is the number 1, and it has over 100,000 reviews. And then the Eiffel Tower, the Louvre, Central Park, and oddly enough, which this really surprised me, Bellagio fountains, that was ahead of Magic Kingdom. But still, number 16 in the whole world for being reviewed, that's pretty crazy. And then, as I kept searching through TripAdvisor on Magic Kingdom, I saw what are the top 10 things to do in Orlando. You know where Magic Kingdom falls on that list? Go ahead and guess.
6.
No.
I don't know. 1?
No.
Oh, what
I
is
thought
it?
you were going to guess 1,
Oh, okay.
or number 2, but you didn't. It's actually number 4.
Oh, okay. So I was super close.
Well, I mean, the top 10, you're not going to be that
You
far.
thought 1, I went 6. I was closer. Just saying.
So I was kind of surprised by number 1, 2, and 3, but I kind of wasn't. So number 1 is Harry Potter World, of course.
Yeah.
Number 2, Islands of Adventure, Universal Studios. And then number 3 is Discovery Cove.
But that's only on TripAdvisor because you're making it sound like, those places are more popular when they're not, because we actually went through the track. Like, I remember we went through the statistics.
The theme park
of all that other
statistics,
stuff.
yeah. And so Magic Kingdom is actually number 1 in terms of attendance.
Yeah.
But in terms of being reviewed, which is interesting because attendance actually plays a lot into some of the negative reviews that are on TripAdvisor.
Gotcha.
So those are just kind of the basic things that I saw around the Magic Kingdom. But you know what I wanted to do with you?
Yes.
I wanted to dive deeper.
Let's do it.
I wanted to dive deeper into the negative and the positive reviews to see what your take is. Because as a fan, the negative reviews, I'm just like, these are all fixable problems.
So we're basically going to see if I'm going to validate
The negative
some
reviews.
of these negative ones. This is going to be exciting.
And the positive ones for that matter.
That's true.
Like to see if you were the average Joe,
Yeah.
which you're not because you have me as your lifeline
Yeah.
in Magic Kingdom.
Have you read through all these yet?
I've read through an unscientific sampling, you could say.
Okay, so I haven't seen any of these. So these are all going to be completely new to me. So you guys are going to be getting some pretty genuine reactions to what I'm about to read
Okay.
or hear.
So which do you
Or
want to
see.
start with? The negative or the positive reviews?
Let's go negative.
Okay, I was hoping you'd say that because
Okay.
I always want to end on a positive note.
Okay, good.
Okay, so the worst reviews, and these are all pretty recent because I didn't go too far back. I don't know. Don't look. Don't
Oh,
look.
sorry.
He's cheating.
I
He's looking at my
I wanna
computer
see
screen.
it.
For those of you who couldn't see
Okay.
that. Okay, so the worst reviews. The number one problem is that it was too crowded.
Okay.
That the lines were way too long for what you pay to get into the park. And I think one review said something about like a fire marshal law about how if in the event of an evacuation, people would not be able to evacuate safely.
I need to find who that guy is because we need to have some talks. I'm concerned about some safety issues too. But anyway, the crowdedness of Disney. So here's the problem with that review, right? So people that are probably reviewing this are probably legitimate tourists that come during the touristy times, which is obviously going to be super packed during those times. And it's probably hard to get, like the fast passes and like unless you plan way ahead of time. And yeah, I mean, it does get crowded, and I don't like there's times that we've done a couple rides and we've had to wait in line. I'm just like this is really boring in this line, which, they do a good job at theming the lines to try to keep you entertained and stuff. But I actually think that they could do more in the lines to be more entertaining, to make you feel like you're not waiting as long. Because I feel like there's no actual entertainment in lines when there's actually entertainment when you probably don't even need the entertainment walking outside to your next destination.
True.
Right? So they should use some of that entertainment to put it in line, so people, when they're actually just sitting there doing nothing, can be entertained.
You know what you just reminded me of? Roller Coaster Tycoon. So
Why?
Roller Coaster Tycoon, did you ever play that when you were
Yeah.
younger? Okay. So something that they did for their queues is you actually can pay an entertainer to go through the queues. Like you can mark out the area that they entertain at to make your guests more satisfied.
Oh, that's cool.
Because you satisfy them in line or whatever.
yeah.
So not a bad suggestion. Another thing for the suggestion
I need
box.
to start writing these down. That is a good suggestion.
One of the reviews said that because it was so crowded, they actually only ended up riding 5 rides, which they took into calculation the cost of their ticket, and it was $23 a ride per person because they only rode 5 rides. And they thought this was a 1-star review. They thought it was a terrible value.
Experience, yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
How many? Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's interesting because I've never even thought to measure that. Like, how many rides will we ride during a trip, which is important. And I'm wondering if like more people actually do that. But that's a good way of measuring the value. But then there's also so many other things too, like the shows that you see, and like the on the street entertainment, the parades, like those are all other things too that don't go into account. But I mean, it's interesting.
But I think a lot of the reason why people who are not super Disney fans and maybe don't like get it in quotations, pointing at Richie.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the value doesn't come from, oh, this is such a great shop. Look at all these things that they've themed so well. It's about, oh, okay, how many roller coasters did I go on? How much did I have to pay for parking? Which, by the way, is now $20 a car if you're not staying on property.
Yeah.
So it's like things like that they would take more into account.
Those are the things that I would measure also. When I would just show up to Disney, it would be like, okay, what's the parking situation? Like, I didn't show up to a line and start looking at all the details unless you pointed them out, really, and like why things are a certain way they are. I just would show up and stand in line and just like look around like, oh, this is themed, and then and then get upset because I'm waiting so long in line.
Oh, this is themed.
Yeah, and then ride the ride, so.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely does play into the big criticism that follows the crowds is the cost, because the cost that you have to pay, it's truly astronomical. And it's unfortunate because that makes Disney not accessible to everyone because it's so expensive. And it's really unfortunate because they put all this magic into the world, but at the end of the day, they're trying to make money.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's rough. I definitely see though the crowd and the long lines being a legitimate, especially during the time you go, because I mean they could have gone a totally different time and had a different experience. They could have gotten lucky with fast passes, and they could have actually maybe had double the rides. They so that's tough. But
and then to further your point about the queues and fast passes. In the negative reviews, fast passes were brought up a lot as being a really confusing system. And people couldn't get fast passes for the rides they wanted to because they couldn't understand the system. They did have to go to a kiosk where a cast member would help them out to set up their fast passes for the day, and they didn't get to ride what they wanted to ride at the end of the day.
I just had an idea. We should do a YouTube video explaining how to use fast passes.
Okay.
And how to do that. That's a good idea. Because I was super confused about fast passes. Which is crazy because we got into Disney together. We started doing this together when I think it was the transition between like the mobile one where you can do it ahead of time versus doing it right when you first got there. And even when we got there, I was super confused. I was like, I have no idea what is going on right now. Like, I don't know what fast passes are or why we have to like run to like one person. And then even after that, I was confused. I mean, I finally got it, but I can see how Disney needs to make that a better learning experience before they do that. Because a lot of times when people do Disney, it's like their first time, that they might be doing it and only time that they'll be doing it for years or whatever. So if that experience is rough, then they're going to, that family is not going to have a good time.
Yeah. And I mean, it's something that us Disney fans that go more often take for granted, because we're just like, oh, I'm just gonna book some fast passes on the app, done. And even if we don't get what we want, we're just like, I'll get to ride It's a Small World, that's pretty cool. Yeah. But people don't want to just ride It's a Small World. Like, just for example, they want to ride Everest, they want to ride Space Mountain, the e-ticket, as they say, attractions.
So what else? What other reviews you got?
So another thing that they would say is that, and this was something that I found really interesting, because and you'll see when we start going over the positive reviews that there's a big difference between the people who really like Disney and the people who just kind of don't get it. Is people were complaining that once you park at the Transportation and Ticket Center, which is where the Magic Kingdom parking lot is, you have to take a monorail or a ferry to get to the park. They didn't like that.
Yeah.
So they didn't like having to park somewhere, go wait in a line, and ride on a mosquito, quotes, air quotes again, mosquito-infested boat to get to Magic Kingdom.
Yeah. I didn't have any issues with mosquitoes, I guess, but I can see how, being in Florida, that would be an issue. But I will also say that I'm not the biggest fan of that either. Like, because I remember being super confused, like, we got here, we went through all this stuff. We're here, we're parked. And then now we have to go on something else to get there. Like, that to me was also a little, which it could go both ways, because, it could play to like the fantasy of like, you're taking like, this crazy transportation to get to this area that is secluded and like its own other world and that kind of thing, but I think for what like Americans, I guess, want in terms of like, I want to do something and I want to do it now. So like I want to get to somewhere and I want to, same thing like the line, it's the same situation. Like, I want to get to this ride and I want to ride it. I don't want to have to wait to do all this other stuff to get to do the end goal. So it's like the same thing as getting to the actual park. I want to drive, get there, and then get there. I don't want to drive, park, do a bunch of stuff, walk, get on a tram or boat or monorail, and then get there. And then go wait in line. Like, I can see how that's a lot for people.
Well, when you say it like that,
yeah.
I mean, it's definitely, I want to say that that's a part of the experience, but it's definitely something that stops you from getting to really what the final destination is. And you know, it's like one of those things that you kind of just don't think of because it is so much the norm for Disney people that it's just like, oh, let me go get on the monorail. You know, so it's like one of those things you don't even realize. Although, you know, it does. Like when we were in a rush, for instance, for our last Magic Kingdom trip, we were running late from dinner. And remember, you and I, we had to park super far. We had to go to the TCC, obviously.
Huge mission.
We had to go catch a monorail. We had to run to find my brother in the huge crowd of people ready before Happily Ever After played. So, I mean, in that situation, it's definitely frustrating.
But Magic Kingdom is the only park that you have to park somewhere and then do other transportation to get there, right? It's
not including trams, yes. So like the monorail, the ferry, to actually get to where you need to go.
That's the only park that does that.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess also too, it's not like that big of a deal if it's just one park. It's not like you have to do that for every single park.
Yeah.
So.
And to something that you brought up in your little rant there, that kind of brings me to
fired up here.
That kind of brings me to one of my closing points about the negative reviews is the now. So the time we're living in now is everybody wants to have instant gratification. Nobody wants to wait. Nobody wants to kind of go through this nostalgic journey. And that's something that people complained about was Magic Kingdom is too outdated. That they find that it's not living up to what the price tag is, that it's not living up to what technology these days can offer.
I agree with that.
You do?
I definitely agree with that. Like, I mean, it sucks because, like, it's Disney, you know, it's Disney stuff, but I do think, like, for example, the Hall of Presidents, like, that looks super outdated.
I love the Hall of Presidents.
No, it's a great, it's great things, like, you know, because of the history that it has, but you also, I think people have to understand too, Disney would have to invest so much more money to keep redoing that, and then those things would have to be closed all the time. But to keep up with technology, it would actually be probably much more difficult, like from an operational standpoint, to try to actually keep up with the technology and the way things are now. Whereas I agree with that. I just think that Disney has to do a better job at integrating around what's already there with other pieces of technology.
Which I think is what's going to happen with the Hall of Presidents. And that's a great example because it is under refurbishment right now because it's going to put President Trump into the Hall of Presidents. So I think it's going to be cool, kind of, to see the animatronic that's going to be new to the Hall of Presidents.
Yeah. Like, look at, like, for example, right now, you know, Honda has that robot out that, like, can dance like a human. It's just a robot. Like, Disney should have 10 of those, you know, like running around Disney.
Selling water,
exactly. And that's what people would expect for, like, going to, you know, one of the most famous places in the world, you know, to do. So, I don't know, which I'm going to seriously compare the stuff in Japan and see if, like, there's, like, a stark difference of technology and stuff like that.
It's going to be really, really interesting. And I did read some, I didn't want to, but I couldn't help it. I read reviews of Tokyo Disneyland, which is going to be the park that we go to. And I didn't read a lot of them, but some of them I was just like, oh no, look away.
Yeah,
so
that's funny.
Yeah. So now let's transition over to the positive reviews.
Okay, cool.
So one of the biggest differences from the negative to the positive reviews was the length. People that were writing negative things, I mean, they went on and on and on and on and on, which given people, everybody likes to vent, so I get it. I mean, we work in a retail-driven industry, so I get that people like to complain more than they like to compliment. But yeah, so when people would have a positive review, it would just be like short, most of the time. So the magic is still alive, my kids loved it, this and that. So one of them, to kind of counter one of the points that the bad reviews had, is that the rides, instead of being outdated, is they say they're good for young people and the young at heart. So it's kind of people, and they didn't seem to be Orlando natives. A lot of these reviews were from people who did not live in the area, didn't seem like they had annual passes or visited every year, or even every, 2 years, 3 years, whatever. But it said that they still kept that magic for them, even just walking through the park.
Yeah. So I think that, if like those people that are young at heart, even though you're older, have the same sentiment as you. Like they have, you know, certain memories of Disney, or they're just a certain way in terms of living their life, in terms of nostalgia, in terms of technology, whereas they can be totally grateful for the lack of technology, but the heart of what went into Disney. And I think that's just going to be like person to person type of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Because, you know, I mean, someone like me would want to see like much more technology incorporated. And like I would look at things and I'd be like, I get that's Winnie the Pooh, but it looks like it's from the 70s.
Why do you have something against Pooh Bear every single week?
Like,
every single week.
So I could see why, you know, people would, I guess like there would be those positive ones about literally about the same thing, possibly the same ride, and negative things about that same exact thing, because like the exact same reason, topic, description of it, one could love that and one can hate that.
Yeah. Well, and another thing that I was thinking about when, and this was also brought up in the reviews, is something like riding the ferry or the monorail to get to Magic Kingdom. People looked at that as their first ride. Like they looked at that as like experiencing the Magic Kingdom from even before they entered the gates.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And it's interesting because I remember that so in 2008, I believe, Lou Mongello did an episode about Disneyland, and I've never been to Disneyland in my life. And something that they pointed out was when they visited Disneyland, they were looking for the monorail. They were like, "Where do we get on the monorail at?" And the monorail isn't there for that,
You
because
just like walking to the park.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so the monorail becomes literally more of an attraction than an actual
So people
mode
like
of transportation.
wanted the monorail.
Yeah.
So wait, Disneyland has no monorail? No, they'd have, right?
They have a monorail, but
Okay.
it's used more as an attraction and less so a mode of transportation as they do
so
in
like
Magic
you could take
Kingdom.
like a lap around.
I'm just gonna go on the monorail just for a lap.
Just to like look around. Cool.
Because it's super sleek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
it's like those people miss it going there, whereas some people are here like, oh, I gotta get on the stupid monorail to get on, you know, to get to Magic Kingdom. Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And even one of those things, the positive reviews, they didn't mention price as much, which made me like inquire to more of their reviews, like where else have you visited, you know? And not everybody else has visited like
Such a
these.
stalker.
I know.
I wouldn't even know.
Who are these people?
That's funny.
I just wanted to see kind of where else are they reviewing to kind of get a grasp on what kind of lifestyle they lead and this and that. And I mean, I will say some of them they don't go to a lot of places, you know, they just reviewed, Magic Kingdom, and they reviewed something maybe local to their town. And one of the positive reviews said, you know, food is expensive, so we packed our own food. We didn't.
Disney let you bring in your own food?
You can bring in your own food. You can bring in any plastic water bottles you want, so you can refill them.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So like families mentioned doing that to save money, and so that's why I'm thinking like some of the negative reviews, and this is just me being an optimist maybe. So some of the negative reviews were just misled into, you know, not having any tricks.
They didn't have any advice.
Yes.
Like they didn't see any of those like 1,000 YouTube like they were dumb and they didn't YouTube like how to enjoy Disney properly. Like you can literally YouTube that. I'm sure you can find a bunch of stuff. So.
Yeah. So are you saying that you think that all these bad reviews are just because they're misinformed and that potentially they could have a 5-star rating, Magic Kingdom?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, like for example, the Fast Pass thing. Like the lady that complained about the Fast Pass situation.
Why did you think it was a lady?
I said or man. I knew that was going to happen, so I said or man. Was it a lady?
It was.
Okay. Anyway, so you know, the person that complained about that would not have had that complaint if they would have just YouTubed or even knew that there was a Fast Pass situation, and you should probably, you know, deal with that ahead of time.
Yeah.
And how to do it and why it's, you know, important and why it works.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely because of misinformation, which is literally usually like every problem when you like have a problem with something, it's because like you don't understand it or what you expected was different from what actually happened because you just didn't know
And that's
or whatever.
this is with any industry.
Yeah, it's with any industry.
Yeah.
And obviously it's going to happen obviously with Disney. So
Yeah, it's such a huge conglomerate. So one of the final things that I did notice is, even though there's all these negative points that people bring up about Magic Kingdom, and again, this is just about Magic Kingdom because that's all I looked at. It still does. So 1% of all the reviews were 1 stars. And then 90% were between 4 and 5 stars. That is a huge difference.
Yeah.
So, and all these people do not have annual passes. Probably like 90% of them live in England.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So, yeah.
So, I mean, it's just one of those things that I think about, and it's like, yes, with all this negative, yes, it's crowded. Everybody thinks it's hot. Everybody hates waiting in line. I mean, at the end of the day, everybody does hate waiting in line,
Yeah.
I think, for the most part. Unless it's like one of those things, I'm just here for the queue, which I don't know, a couple people maybe.
That, yeah.
So but people still feel the magic of Magic Kingdom. At least 90% of them do.
Yeah.
You know? And among 54,000 reviews, you get a pretty good perspective on what people are really thinking.
I think that someone should, because you know what's crazy about, I'm thinking about the in-queue entertainment. It doesn't even have to be Disney people, like Disney cast members. Anyone could do that. Someone needs to do that. We could, or someone else needs to figure out how we can do, or like what ways can people create entertainment in queues. That's what someone should do. And if someone wants to brainstorm, hit me up. I will definitely help figure this out.
For the recorded record, I'm just going to say that one of my favorite entertainment queues that no longer exists was Magic Kingdom, Space Mountain, circa 1990s, with AC Slater giving us the news, presented by FedEx. That's all.
That was taken out?
Yeah, it was. I'll show you the YouTube video. Okay. I'm really excited to show you that. It's cool. Awesome. So yeah, I mean, that's my look on TripAdvisor. That's what I found.
Well, this was cool. Honestly, this was awesome. I don't know. I hope everyone really felt like they got a lot of value out of this. This was really cool. I thought we were gonna go like rapid fire and just start looking at reviews, which I think we should do for another episode.
No, I did my scientific study.
I definitely want to do this again. This was really cool, and I think we should do it again and go rapid fire and like look at them together and be like, oh, that's crap.
Oh, we should do this
or
for
like
Epcot.
Yeah, or like, oh yeah, because we can do all the.
I feel like Epcot would be a good one because it's got a lot of old stuff.
Yeah.
But it's got a lot of alcohol. So
and adults go there more.
Exactly.
It's more like adulting type of thing. Ooh, that's going to be fun. All right.
Okay.
That'll come up soon.
Look out for that episode.
Yes. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe if you're listening on iTunes. We'd really appreciate a rating and a comment. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe there as well. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about the show.
We're also on Instagram, DisneyWTF.radio.
Yes. Hit us up on IG, on Twitter. We're also on DisneyWTF, Disney_WTF on Twitter.
And we're on Facebook.
And we're on Facebook. We need to be more active on both of those.
I know.
We will be.
We're working
coming
on it.
Soon.
Coming
soon.
attractions to a TV show near you. Thank you guys so much for listening. We appreciate you hanging out with us, and we hope you have a magical day. Goodbye.